I want to tell you about a story of when I was in Munich for work in 1994. I had finished a week's work there and had to get an early morning flight out of the brand new Munich airport, which was built about 30 miles outside of the city. So I packed up for my hotel at 4:30 in the morning. It was still dark because it was January, and I got out to my rental car and used the rental car's ice scraper, which consisted of basically a credit card. I was scraping all the ice off the windshield since it had started snowing about 2 a.m. Got that done, got in the car, had my written directions for how to take the 4 or 5 different important turns to get to the airport. This was before GPS, and it started to snow heavily by the moment I was on the road, and the snow was also sticky, so it stuck to every single road sign. So I had a general idea of which turns to make by where they were after I'd gone some miles, but I missed one important one, and it took me 20 miles to find another exit and then get back to where I was. And the only way I could even see the road itself was to hover right behind a tractor trailer for the rest of the way to the airport. Got there and I was so late, I knew I had missed the flight. So I turned in the rental car, ran to the gate, and they said, nope, this was also before cell phones. And they said, no, the flight had been postponed for several hours. So I sat around waiting for that. Eventually we got on the plane, and we did something that I had never done before, and that's because the Munich airport was the first one in the world to have this. It was a giant arch that the entire 747 flew or taxied through, and it sprayed de-icing fluid on the whole plane. Once we were through that, we sat and waited some more because the runway had about 6 inches of snow on it. So we watched as a phalanx of about 6 plows side by side cleared the whole runway after about 3 or 4 swipes. Then we took off and flew to Amsterdam, which was the first leg of the trip. I was going to fly from Amsterdam to Boston from there. But the same blizzard that was happening in Germany was also happening in Amsterdam, and we had a harrowing flight down, the descent down to the airport. Just huge drops, stomach in the throat, all that. And we finally hit the tarmac, and the entire cabin of passengers just erupted in cheers and clapping and happy to be alive, as I was. Then we went inside, and I found that my flight to Boston had been canceled because there was also a big snowstorm at Logan Airport at the time. So I waited about 5 hours or so and finally took the next flight and flew across okay and got to Boston and got into my car, and then had to drive for 2.5 hours through snow to get home. Just completely whipped at that point. And what I was arriving home to, this was my birthday, and what I was arriving home to was a crowd of about 10 people or so who were family members gathering for a delayed Christmas celebration. And I was hardly in a mood to be festive, but stuck around for a couple of hours, and then finally had to beg off to go sleep. So that was how that went. Till next time.